Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for some health talks with Dr. TRINH. The one show, maybe the only show that shows you the path to a healthier life, one conversation at a time. And today, well, we've got multiple conversations about a topic that we've addressed before, and we're going to talk about it a little more in depth, the Physicians CBD Council. So welcome, if you will. Is it Jeff Wolfson? Did I get that correct here?
You did. That's correct.
Welcome, Jeff, to the event and today here. And we got kind of an all-inclusive show here. You are with the the Physicians CBD Council. Is that correct? You're one of the...
That is correct.
And
yes.
This was a group that was put together. Give us some background on it. Tell us why this thing was created, when, where, all that kind of stuff. We've talked about it before, but just to catch everybody up again here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started in 2019. Right before the pandemic, with the goal and the mission that we wanted to educate as many consumers as possible. There's a lot of noise in the CBD industry. There was a lot of noise then. There's still a lot of noise today, and we're really trying to break through the clutter of what are the best CBD products on the market. What are the most trusted? What can you trust? How do you understand how to read the labels and the certificates of authenticity.
And what's in there? That seems to be the common question that we've talked about before. And I'll give you a kind of little background. Years and years ago, I had some involvement in the nutraceuticals industry. I was doing marketing for a company. And we had a devil of a time trying to determine, when you looked at other products in the market, what was really in there. When you tested it, it was supposed to be St. John's wort or something that you were looking for. And instead, there was very little in there, or way too much in there, or a whole bunch of other stuff that you didn't think should be in there and you didn't knew were in there, and many of which were pesticides and other nasty things that you didn't want to. Does that problem plague the CBD industry as well here?
Dramatically. And anytime you're dealing with a plant-based product, you're dealing with nature. And CBD and hemp, and the hemp plant, it's unique in the sense that it actually can suck up everything that's in the earth, good or bad. So if you happen to have an environment or a piece of farmland that maybe had some toxins in the soil, that plant is going to get it, and that oil could have it. So you got to make sure that it goes through the right processes and that it's clean by the time it hits the consumer. And to your point about what's in there, it's not only heavy metals and toxins that we have to be concerned about. It's how much CBD is actually in there, how much CBN or CBG and other cannabinoids and terpenes that the brands claim. So, we've developed a physician's quality verified program and a seal where we go and independently third-party test the products, kind of like the American Dental Association does with dental products and like Consumer Reports does with other products. And that's what we do, and that's what we're undertaking now with products like Overcome, who hopefully Annie will be joining us from Overcome here shortly. And we're working very closely with the brands and with folks like Tyler, who will be describing what they do very shortly in terms of the efficacy trials and that kind of thing. So it's twofold. It's what's in the product, it's the quality, and we're verifying it with our trusted seal. And we're moving forward with certain brands to actually do clinical studies regarding certain ailments like fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis. These are actually the trials that we're going to be talking about a little bit today that we're doing with your alma mater, University of Michigan.
Right.
And they're really at the forefront of leading the research, University of Michigan. And it's really exciting. We're almost done with this first trial here, and there's going to be a lot more to come. And we can get into that, and obviously we will throughout the podcast.
Well, anybody who's watching us today on Dr. TRINH's Facebook page or our YouTube page for OC Talk Radio has watched a young gentleman, Tyler Dautrick. Am I saying that even close to correct here?
Very close. Dautrick. Very close.
Okay.
Better than a lot.
We're watching him, quietly wait for his moment to come on here. Let's give him that moment here. Who are you, sir, and how are you connected to all this?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me. First off, my name's Tyler Dautrick. I'm the COO of More Better, and we are partnered with the Physician CBD Council to essentially help take things beyond their certification program, where they'll go through and do their lab check and make sure the certificate of analysis and lab results all match up what it's on the label and what the brand's representing. But then taking it a step beyond that and actually measuring, the actual product performance and the product quality in like real world data scenarios. So quick background to rewind, and then we'll get back to present day.
Yeah.
So we started back in 2016, and we're most widely known within the cannabis and the CBD space right now for our product, the Relief app. So the Relief app is a patented application, and it's a free app in both iOS and Google Play Store. And from a consumer side, a patient or a consumer, it's the top rated app for an individual to track and improve their use of cannabis or CBD.
Really?
So what individuals do in the app is they track the product they're using, the specific symptoms that they're using the product for, where they purchased that product from, the impact that that product had on those symptoms that they're trying to alleviate, and then additional like feelings, side effects, and emotions that they experience during and after using this particular product. The goal for the individual is, as the individual continues to track their outcomes in Relief, the app is able to auto-generate like intuitive reports for them to help them, again, learn and improve on their future uses, so they can really hone in on what product is working best for me based on the specific reasons that I'm actually buying and using these products for. So it's really getting into trying to help individuals make better decisions with data. And, going beyond that as a company, that's kind of our whole philosophy is data, not reviews. We have two tools now.
Data, not reviews. Don't just
Data,
tell me
not
how
reviews.
good it was for you. Give me some real data about this.
There you go. Right. So outside of Relief app, we have Relief app, and then we have a web-based tool that's called Penzai. And essentially what these two tools are wrapped around is collecting real-world evidence data on the use and performance of a specific product based on a specific symptom or reason that that product is being used for. And a big part of what we do is focused on the research space. So since 2017, we've been collaborating with universities across the country as well as international, doing a number of different research-related projects. We have 9 studies published in different medical journals right now. And then we just wrapped up a study with Florida Gulf Coast in the state of Florida on anxiety. And we're currently live with this study with the University of Michigan, where we're focused on fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, and osteoarthritis of the knee or hip. And that's where, the most recent and current collaboration with the Physician CBD Council is taking place. They are participating in this study with us as part of a recruitment partner. And this is just one example of the many things that we're going to be able to streamline between More Better and the Physician CBD Council as we continue to work with brands here. Is we're not only, again, on the Physician CBD Council side, going to be able to verify these products from like a lab quality perspective, but together our two organizations are really going to be able to work with these brands to engage with consumers of these products and really verify or validate or not how these products are actually performing for people based on, again, the very specific reasons that they're using them for.
Wow, a lot to digest and, and dissect in that answer.
Yeah,
I appreciate the completeness of it, and my head is still spinning as I try and take it all apart here. All right, Jeff, let's go back to you. I forgot to ask your background. Are you a doctor, or are you just somebody that's been in this space for a while?
I just play one on the internet.
You just play one on the like me. I play a radio host here today.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I actually was in college for telecommunications way back in the day at Youngstown State University in Ohio, but decided not to go down that route. I spent my life in the building industry, actually, and I actually have a very personal story with CBD and why I got involved with it a few years ago.
Yeah, please share it. Everybody wants to know, who are you and why did you get involved in this? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've been a sales executive for a number of years in the building material industry and manufacturing industry for building products. And, played football in high school and really beat up my body over the years and didn't really take care of myself, didn't really watch what I ate. And, you get a little older and it starts to catch up to you. I think we all kind of know that, right?
Why is everybody looking at me? Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
It got to a point where walking up and down the steps was a chore. actually, believe it or not, trying to open a simple water bottle like you would
Yeah.
with your fingertips, I couldn't do anymore. I was like this,
Oh,
trying to
boy.
open it up. This was just a few years ago. And I had been looking for investment opportunities. I've been looking for uh, opportunities outside of the building industry, where I spent my career. And I thought, this CBDs, there's a craze here. This is really getting popular. What's this all about? And I decided to do a little homework, and I did. And then I tried a product, and I didn't really even know what it was going to do to me. And I didn't try it with the intent that all of a sudden I was going to be healed, so to speak.
Yeah. Right.
I just tried it because I thought, well, if I'm going to invest in this business, then I better at least understand what this does to me. So I went and found a great product that was, well vetted, GMP facility, which is good manufacturing practices, and that's something that we focus on with the products that we verify as well. But I found a good product, and I started taking it. And about 3 weeks later, I was walking down the steps in my house, a 2-story home, and all of a sudden I got to the bottom of the steps, and I said, "Wow, I didn't really walk down the steps. I kind of ran down the steps,
Yeah.
pitter patter, like my kids would do. You hear their footsteps.
Yeah.
It's like boom, 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 boom. Right, that was me, right down the steps, and I got to the bottom steps. It's like, wow, I did that without any pain. I did that really easy. I just kind of was very spry. I went up the steps and down again. And I was like, whoa, I ran to the fridge.
He did it all day long. He
Bottle.
went up and down all day long. Yeah.
It was crazy. I went to the fridge and I went pop with a water bottle, like with my fingertips. And all of a sudden I was like, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do with my life. And, got involved and got involved with a group called the CBD TRINH Academy, where we educate consumers. And that didn't really go where we wanted it to because of the pandemic and all the craziness. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of noise in the CBD industry. And, it's one of these things where you could educate the consumers, but there's also a need to educate medical professionals and find medical professionals that are willing to invest the time and energy. Because for some, Western medicine doctors, this is still a little bit of witchcraft, but for a lot, and the people that are really forward thinking, this is something that has piqued their interest. And when I came across the CBD Council, I sought out Dr. TRINH. In fact, my rheumatologist, my doctor, is a member of the council, Dr. Gupta. And I told him the journey I was on, and he says, "Oh, you need to talk to Dr. TRINH." Fast forward, talk to Dr. TRINH. I became a member of the council. In fact, I'm the only non-doctor that really is involved with the council.
You're the only one they let in here, right?
Exactly. So
you
and I spend my time educating people, and I do a lot of public speaking and go to trade shows and things like that. And now we're in the process of recruiting the brands to come through our trials. And this is something that, working really closely with Tyler on. And this is really cool because it's very cutting edge in terms of what we're doing, in terms of the research and the data collection, and really interacting with patients in a real world environment. It's no longer just something that, is anecdotal. There's actually going to be data that could be verified.
And isn't that the problem with the entire industry up to this point, is that it's all anecdotal? You gave us an anecdote about what converted you, and we're converted one by one. I tried it. I questioned it. I had a result. I can't wait to tell everybody else about it. And based on that, people are coming. My own wife is a perfect example of this. We're aging baby boomers here. All the stuff that happens to us, we're the Peter Pan generation. We never want to get old. We're not going to get old like our parents and take a bunch of pills and become zombies and all the stuff that I'm sorry to say my late mother and father went through as they went through all their serious ailments and whatnot. And so we, on the one hand, we're a little distrustful of traditional medicine because all they want to do is a pill or a procedure. What else you got? Before you cut into me, before you drug me, what else you got? And so we exercise, we do yoga, we practice mindfulness, and we go to Mother's Market and we try every herb and supplement and crazy thing we can come up with here. Nutraceuticals, can I put a little more vitamin C in what I'm eating or something here?
Yes.
All in a quest to somehow improve this last phase of our life here, this to live not just longer but better, mo better. I like that sound there. We want more and we want it better.
There you go.
Having said that, though, we're on our own, because I go to Mother's and there's some kid who's 18 who's counseling me on which one of these supplements or whatever herbal products I should be experimenting with or trying.
Mhm.
I go online and I read just anecdotal stories and I talk to people. How did it work for you? It's all just, I feel like we're back in the old Wild West when medicine was all traditional. People are just going to the lady down the next farm because she somehow knows how to help people or whatever here. Or in traditional societies where you're going to witch doctors or you're going to
Yes.
traditional practitioners, we don't seem to have any data or science or reason or logic behind what we're doing. And yet we're doing it in massive numbers because the reason logic world is saying, well, I don't know, I got two choices. You want a pill or you want a procedure? So we've raced headlong into this, but I wonder if we're really well versed. We're all our own science experiment. What do you think about that, Tyler? Is that what your app sort of gives? It gives me data on my own science experiment?
Yeah, exactly. It helps you, do that in a streamlined way where, most people right now, they're note taking or they're just trying to recollect from memory or, whatever the case may be. Like we have people who, before using our app, they were like doing detailed spreadsheets and trying to like generate their own reports and track their own things. And it's
Right.
just like, we can now automate that all through that. And that's the thing, like with just like this natural product space in general, whether we're talking about cannabinoid based medicine, nutraceuticals, any herbal therapy or alternative therapy,
Right.
The big gap there is like everyone says there's no data, there's no data, but there's millions, if not more people who are buying and using these products every single day.
Right.
So like what we're really talking about is there's a lot of reviews and there's a lot of anecdotal data, and then there's this like gold standard, FDA approved clinical placebo type study.
Right.
And like the gap in between there is what everyone's saying, like, well, if it's not here, then it's all the way over here. Well, why can't it be in here? Why can't, if we're having millions of people spend like billions of dollars on these types of supplements a year, like the natural product industry is crazy in regards to the increase it's seeing year over year in just spending dollars. How is there not a better way to aggregate and normalize these real world experiences and pump that information out to the general public so that they can just make more informed decisions? Like, yes, sure, it's not your full blown clinical type studies, but like,
but it's better than nothing. It's better than
one,
just
it's better than nothing. But like two, in a clinical type study, like that data is even skewed to a certain extent because it's not a real world experience. Like you're essentially taking people out of their day-to-day environment and putting them in a room where their environment's altered specifically during the time that they're using this particular product. So like there's a difference there too. And there's a gap and there's a need, and like you said, it's better than nothing, where if we can normalize hundreds to thousands to millions of experiences with these products and just real data that's unbiased, like I don't care what product you buy, I really don't, but like just make a more informed and educated decision. Like don't go off of product and brand marketing, go off of what your peers are experiencing when they're actually using this specific product for this particular reason.
Boy, amen to that, because I hate to say it, but we all know marketeers, and they'll make all sorts of my wife, all the time we get in this argument, and I say, well, why did you buy that movie? Why did you buy that bottle of pills? And she says, well, look at what it says. And I said, that doesn't mean anything. Just because the bottle jumped out at you and packaged right and has all the right buzzwords on it here. But we're also, I'm not immune to that.
Of course.
And I remember years ago, we had somebody on one of our shows, not this show, but another show. And he was talking about traditional healers and traditional medicine and why drug companies do invest lots of money to go up in the jungles of Peru or something here and talk to traditional healers, what we would think to be witch doctors or fakes or, guys as shamans or something. And they're giving, but for thousands and thousands of years, they've been using herbs in a way, because they didn't have drugs, and they've used herbs in a way to treat people. Sometimes effectively, sometimes maybe not as effectively as what we can do. I get it.
Mhm.
But the person said, look at it this way. They've run a massive clinical trial over 1,000 years. And if people
Right.
died, they went, I guess I don't give them this route anymore here. It was a pretty rough trial here, but it was there. It's more than anecdotal evidence. They're looking to see how this reacts, and then over centuries, honing their craft to say more of this and less of this. And it isn't just what you take; it's how you take it. We've had
For sure.
numerous people come on and talk about cannabinoids. For example, CBD. He's got a joint pain. He can't open his arthritis or whatever, or rheumatoid arthritis or whatever you're identified with. We don't know how much to start with. So what do they say? Just start with a little. See what happens.
Right.
Just start with a little.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take a whole bunch because you don't know what to dose. And the doctors, even those open-minded doctors like the one he mentioned as rheumatologist, or Dr. TRINH, who started saying, my patients are telling me I'm getting some relief, and I'm not getting any relief over the drugs they're taking, or I've got concerns about the drugs I'm taking, side effects. All these people start by saying, I don't know, try a little. That seems like a real kind of crazy approach to your body here. Just try a little, see what happens.
100%. And that's honestly, that's like a primary focus of this current study with the University of Michigan is, now with where we're at with this industry, you can find data and you can find research that's like cannabis or CBD broadly as a substance is beneficial for X, Y, and Z. Like that data is definitely
anti-inflammatory. Everybody seems to agree it has some anti-inflammatory properties.
Sure. Right. Whatever the case may be. But like what you just said, what's not there is, well, how much?
Yeah.
And specifically, when you're talking about cannabinoid-based therapy, what cannabinoids? There's hundreds of different cannabinoids. So not only is there a gap in the dosing related information, but there's also a gap in this product formulation information.
Because just to stop you for 1 second, this has taken me a while to get my head around this. We think CBD is a thing. It is a plant. It has one ingredient in it. Maybe it had two. It has the now it's my mind's blanking here because of my age here, but what's the ingredient that gets you high? THC.
THC.
So marijuana has THC that gets you high. Cannabis doesn't have THC, or very small amount of THC, negligible amount, so you don't get high. That's why they can sell it at Walmart and all these other kinds of places here. But we all think that's it. It's got something, a magic thing in there. And as they've started to study this thing, they've come up with, I guess, what they call these cannabinoids, this compound, this thing that has the anti-inflammatory property in this plant. And it ain't just one. They've discovered hundreds. I guess last time I heard it was like up to 100 different compounds, which they call cannabinoids. And isn't just THC. Give me some other example.
The whole alphabet soup. But you got THC, CBD, CBG, CBN, THCA, THCV, CBDA, like,
and all of these are little compounds in
and
that
all the terpenes.
And all the terpenes.
And all the terpenes and the other botanicals as well.
So you've got this, it's a mixture of different chemistry. It's got a whole bunch of other chemical compounds in there that we've only started to identify.
Barely scratched the surface.
Much less figure out what they do. And we had somebody on, the only reason I knew this, we had years ago somebody on right here from UC Irvine. I think, don't they have a cannabis research?
I believe so.
One of the few in the country where for years they could access this stuff that was Schedule I drug, and and nobody could touch it, but they could, and they could experiment with it. And the guy who came on said, we never knew for years that there are this many compounds in the plant, partly because we didn't study it. It was an illegal substance. And as we've done, he said, some of these will turn out to do nothing. It's just there. It has no interaction with us as humans. Maybe it has some other purpose, but doesn't affect us. Others seem to be hardwired into our body. Our body seems to have almost a what could I call it? A natural connection to some of this stuff. Is that true?
The endocannabinoid system.
Yeah, we didn't know the body kind of has receptors for these things, and that we seem to be almost hardwired to utilize some of these things. Talk about that for a little bit. Am I overstating that?
No, I mean, quite literally. Yeah, the endocannabinoid system, there's a CB1 and CB2 receptor, and yeah, it's specifically like it's a perfect marriage almost in regards to like using cannabinoid based therapy or cannabinoid based products for full body and even mind, relief and functionality and et cetera. And again, like that's even talking about it now, we're hypothesizing to a large degree because we have yet to just scratch the surface on the understanding of like what really is the potential here. And when you talk about all these different cannabinoids that make up the cannabis plant, again, I'm a big believer, and what we've seen so far too is that, like you said, one-off cannabinoids probably aren't going to be super beneficial for a majority of people because it's a one-off thing.
Right.
It's the whole plant. It's the combination and the formulation and the dosing of all of these cannabinoids mixed together based on different ratios, different dosing administrations and amounts. It's all of that. And again, that's what we're really trying to shed some light on with this study, is because you have these brands across the country and now globally as international markets start to come online that are manufacturing and producing these products, and they love to market that they have this new cannabinoid that's in the product and they're like the first ones to have it, and et cetera, but like no one knows what it's used for. No one has any evidence or data behind it, so they're just pumping out marketing content to say like we're the newest and most improved thing and this is the best cannabinoid you could come use. But like if you walk into a dispensary or search CBD online, you're easily presented with hundreds, if not thousands, of products to choose from.
And you don't have to go to a dispensary anymore. I can go to CVS. Right. I can go to Walmart. I can go to all sorts of places. I can go to Mother's Market and see rows of
you don't even have to leave your house. You can do it online now too. Yeah. Like that's like it's everywhere.
So now we're talking about three problems. You've added a third to it. First is there really any CBD in this product that you're selling me? Because the government, this isn't regulated by the FDA, where they go measure all this stuff to make sure that the pills really are what they purport to be here. So there is no independent testing. I can say it's CBD. There might not be any CBD in there, or probably a trace amount. I don't think they're going to overtly, completely lie, but it might not be as much as you think it is. When they manufacture it, maybe they even had the intent to do this, but when they subbed the manufacturing out to 12 companies in some foreign country here, it's a little bit this, a little bit that. One batch is a little stronger, one batch is a little weaker. It may not be, the cookies may not come out exactly as they planned, but who cares? We'll put it in the package and we'll tell everybody it is. So there's how much is in there. And then a question you're talking about, and is that all I wanted? Was that one thing? I wanted CBD X or something here? Well, no, maybe if I use 74 of the other cannabinoids in a certain combination, I get a better result than if I just take the plant, boil it down, and hand it to you here, and wrap it up and powder it in a pill here. Maybe there's some other combination that's more efficacious, if that's a fancy word, that comes out better. So it's the compounding of this material, what I take out, what I leave in, and then the one that everybody's shocked with. What do you mean there's mercury in there? What do you mean there's lead or some other crazy thing that I'm doing this to be healthy, and you put something unhealthy in it because it sucked up all the pesticides you sprayed all over the farm to keep the bugs off. Talk about that, Jeff, a little bit. So we got three confusions here. The public is attracted to the idea, attracted by the marketing, but has no clue if that product really does contain what it says it does and doesn't contain other things, or maybe even should be altered in some way to make it more effective here.
That's right. And thanks for making a great point for us and our quality verified seed.
I get it.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, Paul. Really, those are the reasons why we were formed. Those are the reasons why we started the quality verification program. Those are the reasons that we decided to undertake efficacy trials. We're not at a point in this industry where full-on clinical trials are necessarily doable in terms of cost and time and all of that. But we found a way that we could at least get some real data, like Tyler said. We could take the emotion out of it, which I think is a really cool thing that Tyler focuses on too.
Right.
And it's no longer about a review or someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Now they hit you with a bad review, or vice versa.
Right.
They had great experience and they hit you with a glowing review. No, this is all about the data, and this is a precursor to uncluttering this industry so the FDA can make some good informed decisions as we move forward into regulation and more regulation and things like that. That's been a fundamental challenge there.
Let me talk about let's get down to brass tacks here then. So we've talked
Sure.
about why there's a need for this. It's the Wild West and you don't know what you're getting.
That's
and
right.
At some point we'll talk more about we do need to do some trials, and I'm glad universities are embracing some of this. UCI and Michigan. Wow, conservative Michigan. Who would have thought they would be in this? And I just got a note before I get out of that rabbit hole. Am I the only one shocked that major academia, major universities like UCI and Michigan and others are now investigating this? It wasn't that long ago that they were telling us, oh my God, this is the worst product on the planet here. This is worse than cocaine. This is madness, reefer madness, and everything here. This was not a world that was open to investigating this. Even though I have to say, the University of Michigan, where I went in the '70s, was the center of the hash bash and the $5 pot laws. We were pretty open as a student body to experimenting on it ourselves, but I don't think the university was too supportive of that. Just stop for a moment. I mean, am I just shocked at the moment where we're at, where Republican speakers of the House like former Speaker John Boehner are now working for cannabis companies, and how the world has flipped 100. My wife can buy cannabinoid products at Walmart, and universities experimenting this. Am I shocked at how quickly? Am I the only one who's shocked at how quickly this thing has flipped?
Yeah, because if you're in the industry, it seems like it's dog years is what we always talk about. But I mean, from the research side, on the university perspective, think about it from their perspective, right? How often do you have a new supplement that goes from a Schedule 1 illegal substance to a potential therapeutic benefit that you have the opportunity to research?
Yeah.
Like outside of new drugs being developed, there's, again, just when has a therapy like this kind of come to fruition from a grassroots movement perspective that gave them something new to look at?
Yeah,
like
never.
this opened up a whole new window of focus for these universities, where a number of these universities, dozens of these universities across the country, like they started with maybe one researcher or department doing some level of research, but there's curriculum built around this now. There's like degrees you can go get around this. So like it's a whole new category for them, and some of these universities are businesses,
and they've been studying plants since the industry was born, since pharmaceuticals
that's the other
were born.
thing too.
They go to study the plant, and then they try and synthesize it, and then they turn it into their own private compound, and they sell it and patent it. But they're always, they're not just sitting in a science room saying, well, let's take a little of this and let's see what we can put together. They usually start with looking at plants and compounds that already exist. And then they try and see, is there some use for that? Does that have some?
And that's the other thing, when you it's botany, right? It's botany and herbology and these subjects and categories that have been around forever. They've just excluded the cannabis plant because of the federal law and the legalities of it. And, now it's like, oh, we don't have to ignore this. We can actually acknowledge this and talk about it now. Awesome. Let's do that again. Because, back before the Prohibition era, this was something that was super ingrained into culture, from a industrial manufacturing side.
George Washington and Thomas Jefferson grew hemp. This wasn't exactly
back in the World Wars, it was mandatory as farmers that you grew industrial hemp so that they had enough to process for materials for the ships in the wars and everything.
You needed those big ropes, and that's what they made the ropes out of.
All made from hemp. The Declaration of Independence was written on hemp.
I didn't know that. All right, there's another one there. So there's a lot, and this goes back again centuries of people using this product either for constructive purposes like clothing and rope and other stuff, or even feed stocks and other crazy things, to recreational use or therapeutic uses or other sorts of things. This plant, it didn't just appear out of nowhere here suddenly in the 1920s as this crazed obsession of jazz musicians or something.
Right.
Anyway, all right, I just had to go down that rabbit hole because I'm just stunned by how quickly this world has changed. But let's go back to the implications of what you're doing and how people are accepting this or not accepting this. I wonder sometimes if there isn't a yin and a yang. We'll use Dr. TRINH's Eastern philosophies here. If there isn't a duality to anything like you do. On the one hand, the consumers would go, great, now I have some real understanding of what's in this, what I'm buying. And the government's not regulating it right now, so there's an independent council like Consumer Reports that goes out and looks at this stuff for me. Wonderful idea. I wonder, though, whether the industry is so eager to embrace it. The better players, I would think, would. Finally, somebody's going to show our stuff's good and their stuff's garbage, or their stuff is not what it's purported to be, or there's stuff you didn't know in there. I've been waiting for this because there's too many shoddy operations. It's the Wild West. People are popping up everywhere. But on the other hand, there's a bunch of little mom and pops that may not like the report when it comes out and would just assume stick to their own fancy marketing and not look too deeply into what's under the hood here. So is it both ways? Are there some people, the good players like it, and the less than good players would like you guys to go away?
I mean, probably. Like, look, every new industry has a gold rush, right? Where everyone's trying to rush to it and capitalize on it. And as the industry matures, you start to identify who the real, players are, whether big or small too. Because I think, what you're going to see is that some of the small operators are the ones who really have their things together and are really producing things on a quality level, and the bigger ones are not. Good
point, because we assume big is always better,
exactly.
better,
right?
And
which in this case is definitely not the case.
Right.
So yeah, look, I think that's just like the natural evolution of any industry, but in particular this industry, and is drastically needed in this industry. Fair market competition and transparency are going to just allow consumers a better experience. And at the end of the day, yes, we need the brands to be around to like have an industry and for the consumers to buy products, and like us on the ancillary side to have groups to work with from a business model perspective. But I don't care which brands last and which brands, fade away.
Right.
And I don't care
you got no dog in this race here.
No, specifically like for us as a company, even for the Physician CBD Council, like it's a consumer first mentality. So it's getting the information, the data, the transparency into the consumer hands and letting the consumers decide, because not all these brands are going to last. And specifically, looking back since like 2014 and previous, when like you were first starting to see markets come online, I think like California's been around forever, but like Colorado and Washington were the first ones to really like implement really robust medical markets, I think back in 2010. Looking back to those years to now, hundreds to thousands of brands have disappeared. And some of it has been COVID related, but other has just been, they were trying to monetize on a craze that they thought they could easily pop up a CBD brand, throw up a website and put out some paid advertising that says, hey, we have the best CBD, come buy it from us. Everybody's doing that. So like, what sets you apart? And I think marketing has gotten brands to a pretty far space. There's clearly brands that are dominating, that have a significant market share that you can just tell are, making a lot of sales and revenue. But it's getting to a point where the consumers are evolving. The consumers are becoming more educated and more aware, and the consumers are demanding more insights on product use and transparency. They're not just going out to buy what's only available or what's being marketed to them now, because there is a lot that's available. There is a lot being marketed to them. So in that case, how does the consumer choose? And as a brand, how do you make sure consumers are choosing your brand? You show that you actually have a product that's quality and performing at a high level based on reasons people want to buy and use your products for.
All right. So Jeff, you came into this as a businessman. Let's talk about the business, and I'm not trying to be difficult, or I hope I don't open up any can of worms for you here, but obviously the business model for the Physicians Council is to say a need and to fill it. And I guess you trying to convince brands to subject themselves to an independent audit, which they may or may not feel comfortable doing. And I guess for a price, you don't do this for free, so I don't think it's a
That's
huge
right.
price. But you're going out and saying, we will offer ourselves as a neutral third party. And for those who want to take advantage of this and prove that you're what's really in there, and get a stamp of approval from us that it's been checked, that has a certain marketing benefit to it and a comfort level as people become aware of the problems we iterated here. Hey, it may not really be what it says it be. There might be other stuff in it. I don't know what I don't know what I'm getting here. And so if you want to get to the next level and make this a more sophisticated industry, then let's have a third party like Consumer Reports go out and vet this stuff. But that means they got to pay for this, and they got to do it. And what if they take the report and pay you and it comes out bad? They didn't even know there's all this crap in their stuff.
That's right. It's already happened.
Yeah.
It does. It takes guts to put yourself out there. To your point, it's a great question, because certain brands, they may not want anything to do with it, and that's fine. There's going to be it's voluntary. They pay us, and it's really a nominal fee. It's not really very much. And with that, we test the products. We send it to an independent lab, and we do spot checks. And we've actually already had a situation where we've had a particular brand that really prided themselves on quality, gave us the certificate of authenticity, the COAs, and we went and tested it independently, and then we went to match up the two documents, and they were markedly different. And
not saying everybody's an evil capitalist, and I'm just trying to con everybody, but they may not really understand that most of these people aren't controlling this stuff in-house. They formulate it, and then they ship it out, and somebody half a world away is manufacturing this for them.
That's right. Well, yeah, it's generally domestic in the United States, but in terms of the products that we use and ingest here. But that's exactly right. You have a manufacturing operation that claims they're this and they're that, and then they have this whole chain of authenticity that says, okay, this is the product you're getting. And most people go, okay, boom, they stamp it and they just put it in their file. They don't really even digest the information in these certificates. It's a lot. It's a lot to digest, especially when you get to the consumer level. The consumers just look at it like a deer in the headlights. It's just a glazed over stare. It doesn't make sense to them. So then you bring someone like us in who can break through the noise and actually spell it out really simply. But as I was alluding to, we had a situation where we did an independent test on a product that they had shown us all their certificates, all the background, and came from a reputable manufacturer. And don't you know, they failed. And the brand went back to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer was appalled because the manufacturer had a problem with a source of an item. So they outsourced one particular component, came in, they looked at the COAs, and okay, everything's good. They put it into their products, and all of a sudden we trip them up.
Yeah.
Now, we like to think and give them the benefit of the doubt that this was all accidental and just one of those things. But somewhere along the way, someone did something wrong, right? They did something
probably for money. I'm not saying to bribe money, but I mean to cost. It was maybe this was a little cheaper to get it here. Maybe it was a little quicker. I could get this or something.
Maybe it was a little quicker. I mean, give them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, hey, we ran out. We had to get it from here. They got their COA. Boom, 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 and by the way, there's certain types of things that happen throughout the testing process in a lab in a factory that if you test it after it's been processed a certain way or at a certain time frame, that you can get one result versus mixing it with other cannabinoids and maybe the finished product that's in a bottle, you get a different result. And then there's different types of machines and equipment and all that. So, these things can happen, and it's not always nefarious. Yeah, we get that. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it is all about greed and the Benjamins, so to speak. But other times it's just one of these things that happens in the supply chain. And you look at the craziness of our supply chain over the last couple of years. I mean, it's you source one day, you source from here, the other day you source from here. One day you're sourcing glass bottles from the Pacific Rim, and all of a sudden they're coming in. The bottle itself is coming in with lead and things like that. And that's why it's so important to test it once it's in the bottle.
Exactly. All right. So how has the industry responded to it? Have consumers awakened to the need for this? and have the industry begrudgingly or maybe embraced it and said, we welcome it. We'll put our product out there. And if it's not what we thought it was, we'd like to know.
Yeah. It's a mixed bag. It's a lot of marketing and getting the word out. The PCC verified label has been something that's been around this year, but prior to this year, it hadn't really been in existence. So it's about doing events like this and podcasts and shows and marketing to get the word out to let people know. But the folks that have been exposed to us and to the testing and the verification programs are absolutely loving it. The brands are loving it because now we're an independent arbiter. Maybe their manufacturer, as I said a moment ago, is telling them one thing, but now we come in and say, hey, whoa. So it's something they don't have to worry about. And then once we do it, they know it can be completely.
And once they pass, they probably hold it proudly everywhere over all their competitors who didn't do it. Well, I don't know what they got, but I'll tell you what we got. We got a seal of approval here.
Right. And it's a one-of-a-kind type of thing that is actually independent. And as I mentioned earlier, we're kind of like Consumer Reports or the American Dental Association for dental products. We're an independent arbiter. Yes, they pay us to vet the brands, but we're not giving any favoritism to any brands. And
that doesn't mean you pass.
The bad, the other.
This isn't like the smog test for my car that if I fail, I can go back 14 more times until I finally pass here.
Well, yeah. I mean, you get this one situation where here's a brand that paid us to vet them, and we turned around and said, yeah, I know you paid us, but you failed. It's a tough one, right?
Tough call to make.
But that's okay because it woke them up and it fixed their supply chain issues, and now they're very grateful, and now they can, market themselves with the quality verified seal.
And clearly, most manufacturers are in it for the long run. They're not in it for the quick buck, so they want to make sure that they are building a brand that people can rely upon, that people can trust, and they are looking for ways to improve their own internal auditing and processing, which probably always is a concern of theirs because you got so many pieces coming together here. So I would think most businesses would accept this. It's the ones that either knowingly were doing something cutting corners or, I don't know, just somehow. You live in an industry, though, Tyler, where any oversight is feared. I think more than most industries because it's been underground for years. And I ain't coming out and telling. I know there's been some blunt discussions about perhaps almost a failure in the California cannabis markets, where so many people have tried to come out and open legal dispensaries and found themselves competing with people who were still doing it underground without paying taxes, without any oversight. And they're stealing a lot of sales away, and people are saying, why am I spending so much effort to do it right when these people are doing it wrong without any consequence here? So you got a bunch of people who are suspect of anybody looking over their shoulder because that's where they've been for too long.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's the result of prohibition is honestly, the result of it. Like, you take something that is not even like on the radar in regards to like any type of regulatory body, and then overnight say that it's a classified Schedule I substance. So like, you chase everybody who is relying on this from either I need this to live on a day-to-day basis, like medically, or like this is like how I make my livelihood as a business, as like a grower. You force them to either suffer or change their ways of life, and like sometimes neither one of those is an option, or let alone a viable option. So like you force all these people underground, or you force these individuals like in California, to example, up in the mountains, and they have to live this certain lifestyle where they're like looked down upon as like these cartel criminal type deals. And then all of a sudden, now it's legal, now it's okay, so now everybody's going to run into this space, and all these people who were previously looking down upon me and previously like prosecuting us and all this other stuff, they're coming in because they're a little more well-financed and have a different background, and now they're up and running and ready to kind of profit off of what we've been, looked down upon and prosecuted for in a lot of cases, some of these individuals. And
I'm not sure I trust you. I'm not sure I'm going to come down out of the hill. I'm not sure I'm not going to stop making moonshine the old-fashioned way here and do it the open way and the regulatory way.
That's where I'm super glad I'm not in I'm super glad I'm not involved in the government for a lot of different reasons.
Me too.
But for this particular reason, like I can understand it from both ways, right? Like I can definitely see the frustration and aggravation behind the cannabis culture and the cannabis community, who they've been doing this for decades. They are the grassroots movement. They are the reasons why there's even an industry here today.
Right.
And now a lot of them are straight kicked out, taken advantage of, or suffering to like survive in this industry, let alone thrive, when they're the reasons that it's here.
Yeah. Or having to
On the
adapt
other
to new
hand-
rules and regulations and other things that they
Right.
never had to live with before and don't like, and they were kind of independent people anyway, and I don't need this, and I don't
Right.
want this, and I don't like this, and I'm suspect of it. And now all of a sudden there's a new sheriff in town and a new game, a new way to play this game here, and new corporate players coming in doing it a whole different way here. So
I definitely would not like that either.
Yeah.
I would be very, very much against that. But then you got to look at it on the other side too, in regards to just like consumer safety.
that's the key.
Previously there was no checking how these products were being grown, where these products were being grown, what was actually in these products. You were just taking whatever was available at that point. And there was a lot of risk of, dangerous substances, chemicals, poisons, toxins, etc., being mixed into these.
A lot of bad moonshine was made through the years, and people consumed it.
Whether intentionally or unintentionally too, right? It's not always like people are out with negative intentions in mind, but it happens when there's no, standards in place whatsoever.
Right.
So like in that regard, when you talk about something that is becoming more publicly available, you do got to take consumer safety into a little higher of a regard there, which does require then some standards and does require some oversight and does require some compliance. So like, I can see both sides. I can understand why both sides are frustrated with the other. Again, I'm glad I'm not trying to solve that problem. And yeah, I mean, I definitely have a certain level of, concern for like what does happen on a federal level when the Schedule 1 status finally is changed. How is it changed, and what does that mean? Because there's a drastically different.
It opens up banking. That's the one thing everybody's hoping for.
For sure, but
at
like,
the same time, it brings in Big Brother, and what does that do for everything here?
But not only that, it's a very different landscape scope when you talk about going from a Schedule 1 drug to like a Schedule 2 drug or a Schedule 3 drug to just descheduled completely. Yeah. Those are all very, very different things, and set certain groups up to win and set certain groups up to essentially not be involved. So like there is a lot of
there will be winners and losers from all those decisions, and many unintended consequences that will take years to sort out and figure out. The good news is that there's finally a body out there, the Physicians CBD Council, that offers itself up. A bunch of physicians. This isn't just, anybody here. They let Jeff in, but most of them are doctors, and they're trying to. They need some business advice and they need some business support to get this thing broken through to a bigger consciousness and a bigger awareness. But the intent is physicians to heal themselves, to look at this thing in a way that offers people some comfort and some direction as to what they're doing with this compound. Otherwise, they're all on their own, buying anything, don't know what's in there, don't know how to take it, don't know what combination to do, and we're all experimenting on ourselves. And thank goodness there's apps like yours, Tyler, that give me some data and some way to track this and help my own science experiment here in my body. But we need to get this has moved into a serious industry here, and it's moving into serious numbers, and I think we need some serious data around it. I don't know why that's so difficult to do, but we're there, and we've got the opportunities through the two things you're doing here to track my own use and to track in some third-party vetted way what I'm putting into my body and what I know is there. And I think from a consumer standpoint, hooray. That's what we're all looking for. So thanks for what you guys are doing here. How do we reach both of you? Let's start with Tyler first here. How do they, if I want to get this app, I don't even know, never knew it existed. How do I go find this thing?
Yeah, it's a free app in both Google and the Apple Play Store. So whatever mobile device you have, you can go and download the app. It's Relief, RELEAF, and then app, like mobile app. So you can go download it and start using it right now. You want to learn more, it's reliefapp.com. And again, RELEAFAPP.com. That'll have, videos on how to use the app. That'll have details about just who we are and what we do, the previous research publications that we have, and the current study that we got going on with the University of Michigan in California.
Go blue. All right. I'm sorry, Jeff didn't want to hear that.
Oh, just got to twist the knife.
He is wearing blue, though, today. Subconsciously, he wants to be a blue fan.
Unwittingly. I'm an Ohio State fan, so Paul's rubbing in the Michigan, big Michigan victory.
So let's go back to Jeff, then we'll give you the last word here. You brought everybody together here. Dr. TRINH is on the CBD Council. He's had several others, members of your group on. This is a serious organization with a serious purpose. I'm glad they brought a serious businessman in, because I don't know that these doctors always know what to do with how to do all these types of things. But it has a serious purpose, and if people want to learn more about what you're offering and what you're doing, how do they seriously learn about the Physicians CBD Council?
Absolutely. You can go to our website, physicianscbdcouncil.com. You may see us listed as Physicians Cannabinoid Council as well, because that's something that we're moving towards.
Branding, marketing. Everybody's trying to figure out how to get the message.
People understand CBD, but it's really about the entire cannabinoid system. And as you see us moving forward, you'll see Physicians Cannabinoid Council and Physicians CBD Council. It's all us. Shortened version is the PCC. And if you want to learn a little bit more about verified products, you can go to our website. You can call me. My cell phone number is 949-426-2378. That's 949-426-2378. Happy to take your calls. If you want to email me, it's jeff@physicianscbdcouncil.com, or you can just go to our website. And if you're interested in participating in a study, there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming up. We're currently doing the study with fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis. We'll have more studies on those same indications. And then there's other opportunities with things like sleep and anxiety and et cetera. So we're wide open. You'll see a lot more out of us in terms of the recruitment of folks to participate in these studies. And one thing to make clear, and one of the fundamental differences between CBD and cannabinoids is you really can't OD on it. Okay, so the fear of taking too much it's not really valid. It's more about if you're on other particular pharmaceutical drugs and some of the interactions that we need to talk through. But in and of itself, it's something that you're really not going to have a problem with. So
good point. Nobody's OD'd and died from taking bad stuff.
Well, yeah. And if there is a problem, it's because there was something bad in it, which of course we verify that.
Yeah, but that isn't to say that you might not feel sick, or you might not have other side effects, or that you might not get what you think you're getting. I think that's the big problem. I didn't know I was getting this. I thought I was getting this.
That's right.
And I've had that experience with nutraceuticals through the years, where I've kind of given up on a lot of that stuff. I thought, boy, this is really reported to do this. I tried it and it didn't work. Did I really try it? I don't know. I thought I did. The bottle said I did.
Absolutely. That's why we take people through a process that's going to be at least 60 days of a trial, so we can make sure that we titrate properly and that we interact with them in a proper way to give them the best chance of success.
Tyler, I don't even know what titrate means here, so he wants me to titrate properly, and I don't even know what that means.
Sorry, that's the biggest word I know. But titrate is basically how much do you take? Dosing up, dosing down.
Okay, that
kind of thing.
All right. Well, I'm glad you gave us a dose of reality here today about where the industry is really at, and what is needed to get it to the next level, to get some standards, to get some verification, to weed out another bad pun here, to weed out the bad players and grow the good players, and for all of us to have a way to understand what we're doing and the kind of certainty and control, and to do this in a logical way, not just, I don't know, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try anything here. I think too much of it are in that place, particularly as we get older, and particularly we go to the doctor and he says, you got two choices, a pill or a procedure. What's door number 3? That's what we're all looking for, that magic door number 3. Whether it's exercise or pharmacy or nutraceuticals or supplements or herbs or plant-based things or different diets or whatever, we're eager to find that, because we want to live mo better. That's the key here. All right. Thank you so much for both of you coming on today here. I've used up all the puns I can think of here. And we'll see you next time right here on Health Talks with Dr. TRINH.